Hi guys, and welcome to the Rainbow Six Replays YouTube channel. Today we want to present the video highlights of the match between W7M Esports and Ninjas in Pyjamas during the Brazil League 2024 Stage 2. Don't forget to subscribe and put a like. Enjoy.
In earlier on, they're certainly in no rush to do it, and now they're starting to chew through these smokes. But look, you saw there for a second the 4 players on your screen, all in different places. One below, one off towards Geisha, one Shrine, one sat on Black Balk. They're very much going for this like enclosing sort of style where it's a risk if you lose a player in a 1v1 or if you get 2v1'd or something, but it gives you so many angles of attack to overwhelm, and this is where Lobin can be a massive chaos causer. Here he is, finds one inside a box, immediately gets traded out, but the damage has been done. He's torn through this backline of NIP, and that could start to invite a lot of chaos into the round. Hates gets one, dots into a second as he's repelled inside, and here we go on side as well. Volts gets a second. W7M so far chewing through this NIP setup. They've sat and waited for the storm to come, and it has come with some style.
One of the newest players added, Ninjas in Pyjamas,
Beautiful.
will accomplish nothing. Shut down by the longest of Hates, taking some damage. Not an awful lot has happened in this row. Never mind. The rest of Hates, it was incremental.
Very
now he's
incremental. But again, look at the outlines on your screen, right? Look at the players now that you can see. They are scattered all around the map. And I watched back E1's game on Lair, actually, to like just prepare in case they chose to go there again. They do the same sort of thing, where they spread all around the map, basically a 5-point push in, and they try and roach it on the defending team. It leaves you exposed if you get picked off or blindsided or surprised, but that's where you lean on, oh, nice shot, Fantasy. That's where you lean on things like a Lion or in towards a Dokkaebi. And obviously we had that from Volts. They've got themselves through a couple of kills here. It's down to a 3v3. But this is where the defenders can pull back a little bit closer here, and you haven't got as many angles to worry about. So for NIP, not in a terrible position here. I'm also looking at the utility 2 C4 still to play with.
Lots of ways to bail yourselves out of the problem that you have encountered if you're Ninjas in Pyjamas. One player that was really well hyped was Fantasy, but he's not been a factor so far in this round. Nice pick by Cons as he's traded out. Fantasy will have to do some heavy lifting unless he lets Pino do all of it. As you talked about, Fantasy's now gone, so Pino will actually have to do all of the rest. He can play the timer, but he needs to back away. Diffuser in the hands of Lobin as Lobin and Dodez advance towards the bomb site, and Pino is just gonna let them take up that space. He knows he has to re-engage, but he misses.
Back of it. It just means that you get a lot of map control incredibly quickly, and W7M are playing that style super well right now. Whereas NIP, dare I say, aren't really giving them too much challenge. Like, sure, Hates was out on the entry, for example. He was causing a little bit of bother, but W7M just keep on playing their game plan.
Drum position now, the most crucial part. As Lobin and Dots, and Volps for that matter, all tallied together, still short of one single player at full HP. But as long as you've got 1 HP to your name, you can still frag out. Fantasy, a second kill. I said that they need a big round from him. Well, that's all they're going to get from him is Dots and Dodez. Double up. Dots finished off. Who's next in line? Lobin through the drum door with the silhouette. Look at the damage it can do. Somehow Cons survives.
Yeah.
Lobin spraying away. 30 seconds. Diffuser needs to be retrieved. It's picked up, but you've got to get to the bomb site.
It's time though, right? 90 seconds are spent clearing off towards Exhibition side. Then they've had to fight over this western side of the top floor. And sure, they've kept a couple of players alive. They've killed a couple on the other side. But NIP have done the job here. Really glad we've got to see this different side of them coming out where they aren't just being too passive. They are willing to go more aggressive, but no, not like this. Surely, Cons gets his one in behind Sushi Bar and he wins.
Here's execute or push on in for 40 more seconds. You have to navigate this time really well. The question is NIP aware of the glass? Have they heard it? No! Almost a team kill onto Lobin.
Jesus.
He figures it out though. Another double kill from Fantasy 2, back-to-back rounds where he was so successful. Fantasy still making them pay. They know exactly where Lobin is. Chip damage being done and a 4K from Fantasy. As NIP has now equalized and Fantasy is wide awake. That'd be a welcoming sign. They try to track him down and he would likely win that engagement either way. Volp's looking to ascend towards the bomb site, and he happens to step into a goo mine, and it will slow him down, but there's also that information that comes with it for NIP. Volp's finished off by Psycho, so it was his gadget that did the work and his gun that will finish things off. W7M looking like they might lose their 3rd round in a row unless they can find their footing. And boy, oh boy, are this the ground underneath them shifting so quickly. 2 from Cons. Dots, last man standing. Could a flawless round be had from Nip? 20 seconds remain for us to be able to answer that question, and it will be. Psycho, the first kill and the last kill. Always nice when that happens.
That's one hell of a spin from what we saw in the first 2 rounds. I think without contest, you could say the stronger gunner out of the 2 should be able to get something done. Doesn't mean they have the full awareness of what's going on around the map, which is what might come yet to sting them. Fantasy in a great spot as well here to challenge on for the entry. Finds one just after Cons gets the entry. Unfortunate for him, but NIP yet again are walking out on top. Now, Volps has taken it upon himself. I'll just walk down the main hallway and try and see what I can find. And sure enough, has found himself at least the 1. That opens up this top floor somewhat, but Fantasy, as we saw earlier on, was hanging around Geisha. He's still here. My God, turns it on. Gets rid of Volts, a 2K for himself. Dodes is there for the trade. So a good bit of team play from NIP and from W7M being shown. Fundamentally, NIP come out on top. No Grim, no Glass to execute with for W7M. NIP should be able to take this, especially given there's only 20 seconds on the clock.
They've got cams at least on the side of W7M, so more information is never a bad thing. How do they translate this to the site? Cons is prepared and ready for the main stairs. Pino finds Lobin. Might have just broken that goose egg. Dodes doing some damage with the Magnum, but can't transfer over to Cons, who had abandoned his position and instead...
Out so strong, 2-0 up, and then have just let things slip away. Haven't had an entry in any of those 4 rounds. And dare I say it's because they slowed down a bit too much and let NIP really start getting into their groove a bit. Whereas compared to those first 2 rounds, W7M's pace just could not be matched by NIP, and they were falling by the wayside as a result. Now that we switch sides, I always say it, 2 halves to a game of Siege.
So it's, and Border's also really low too. Console's been played
Cafe's
17 times. Cafe is defender sided, but I mean, it's only been played 14 rounds.
I just think it's so boring. I used to actually be quite a fan, but I'm bored of it now. I want something else in the pool. Fantasy gets
Wrong.
1.
I like Cafe. You are objectively wrong.
No, I used to. I'm bored of it now. It plays out the same. It's a bit boring. Because it just feels like attackers can largely walk on forward, chuck down a bit of utility, and cruise through a defense and find themselves winning the majority of rounds. I like that's where they have to work for it, and the teams that are very competent on attack are the ones that make it really exciting to watch Siege. Otherwise, you're basically just watching a pure TDM-style FPS play out, and it's not as exciting as the maps like this one, where they've really got to think and work through problems to get the win. Nice shot. GDM. One more to find still. Oh, Volps turns it back on him. A trade comes through. A 1v2 really standing here, and it's simply not going to be a thing. W7M with that first defensive round win, and it kind of comes back to that point. 2 halves to a game of Siege. I'd be a little bit worried here that things might...
A good side.
Yeah.
But...
Oosh. Easy. It's a shame you didn't get that one.
I do like the TDM call, though.
Leaning everywhere. Beautiful.
Breach present for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Pino is playing Zofia, just in case anybody was curious. Nades go off, dash, getting out of the way, and hold on. Is this gonna be a plant?
He's got
Dodes eliminated by Fantasy. Volps taking out Cons, and that's the diffuser. Where was the coverage, Derry, for Volps? How does he walk into the site and get 2 freebies?
Psycho tried, I don't know if he was watching something else, he was trying to give it, but Volps has just slipped the net there and got away with that. Criminal to let him slip through and walk away with a 3K to make it even worse. Now Pino's got a 1v3 to win. Not really the man that you'd have set to step up given how this game has gone so far. He's got the shield to play with him. Volps, man, what a round he's just had. Was that a 4K for him to close?
When's he coming to NA? That's the real question here.
He's doing an alpha magic going everywhere, yeah. And now find himself on the desk.
I mean, maybe Julio's next for the desk.
All in good time. All in good time.
40 seconds, Derry. Pino needs to look down. That is not ideal. I think he claimed both of them, by the way.
Yeah, he did. That's nuts. The Monty here is kind of forcing a lot of ground for them, which is nice. It lets them move at a bit of a faster pace, but I feel they've just left a bit too much time here to make their move. He was pushing down backstairs for a moment, at least get the 1 vertical kill coming in, but given there's 15 seconds left and there's still 8 players in the server, I don't see how NIP win this.
I think there's the timer more than anything. How do you find enough targets at this point? Psycho dies, Cons is finished off, Hates is next to fall. Where is Fantasy? 1 pick on the Loban, but the clock will be it. A player on both teams survives, but the objective... Which drop is it in particular?
It's like the tiles, yeah, the 2 sets of tiles with the default cam above it as well. I've heard so many different call-outs and names for it. where he is now.
I'll be honest with you. I don't get too deep into the hyper specific callouts because I don't find I use them all that much.
I'm outside through that soft wall.
It's a cheeky angle if it goes undroned.
Do they know?
They'll have an inkling now. They do. The follow-up looked like it was a bit belated. Fantasy gets one, but the guns from W7M then hit their marks. Shield comes out, and Cons can only get one. Hates to save the round, hates to save all 3 points. Nip will only be able to win in OT if Hates does not pull it out. And he'll look to the left, but they were actually to the right. If you're a fan of lucky number 11, that's called.
Didn't get shrine control. They sort of left and ignored it. They then bailed away from Terrace very late into the round, as you can see here, which meant they never really had full control or a multi-point push to come on through. And when you've got a Monty being, I won't say your entry, but
in this matchup,
2-10, I think he now stands at. Yeah, him and Dash are really fighting for the bottom here. It's a race down to rock bottom. So far, at least, Dash is winning that race, but Pino's certainly not far behind. A longer angle comes on through, and Dash finds his man. Again, for W7M, it's largely just planting their feet here and not feeling much need to feel threatened. Even though NIP have got, well, they had 3 players on top black and were ready to start looking at an execute, they haven't got control of Shrine. So as soon as you see the shield try and vault through here, in towards sight, there's a long angle off towards his left where he'll just get sprayed by his feet and he'll be dead, basically. So he's got to be really respectful of that, and instead opts to go for a push. Knows that there's at least one inside of T they've got to try and contest, but just entirely isolated, gets nothing from it. Hates has got to clutch out big, and it's simply not going to happen.
I think Keith starts tomorrow, BD the next day, and then the last day FURIA. So I mean, these next 2 days, this could be a really good chance for them to get some points, but the fact of the matter is that you aren't getting anything in these past 3 games. It's rough. And then even looking at the stats right now, you know, we touched up on Fantasy and Pino that we wanted to see them perform today. Thankfully, we saw Fantasy pop off, but Pino just not having the performance that we needed from him. So hopefully going into next week's matches, we can really see that resurgence from Pino.
Well, it's going to be so tough to win a map like Skyscraper if you're not successful on your attacking half. We know this, and Lacking, this is something we talk a lot about on these very defensive-sided maps. You're going to be able to defend your side regardless. You're going to walk away with at least 4 rounds. The difference is made by the team that can put the